Hi, and welcome to Ottawa English. I'm Angela. Today we're going to talk about the CELPIP Speaking Task 1, and I'm going to give you a template for giving advice. So advise that they use in the question is a verb. You advise someone about something, or you advise someone to do something. Advice is a noun. You give someone advice about something. And as a noun, it's uncountable. So you cannot have advices. That is wrong. Advice is very much like luggage, cheese, and paper. They're all uncountable nouns. And so when you give someone advice, you give them a piece of advice, just as you have a piece of luggage, a piece of cheese, or a piece of paper. When you want to give more advice, then you give 3 pieces or 2 pieces of advice, and the S is on the piece. Just the same way that you give 3 pieces of luggage, or you have 3 pieces of cheese, or 3 pieces of paper. So keep that in mind. Advise is a verb, advice is an uncountable noun that cannot have an S. Now, when you're asked to give advice, what topic are you going to be asked about? Maybe travel. Maybe you're going to advise somebody about packing or places to visit, or finding a hotel or a house sitter or a pet sitter maybe. Maybe you're going to give them advice about renting a car or a house or an apartment. But you may be asked to give someone advice about shopping, about bargaining for an item, best places to shop, selecting an item, finding a garage sale, or selling or buying something online. You may be asked about something work-related, like asking for a raise or giving a presentation, or advising somebody how to deal with a colleague or prepare for an interview. It may be something to do with money, maybe borrowing or lending it, maybe getting a bank loan, choosing a bank, or even arranging for repairs. There are many, many topics that you could be asked about. And so you should practice, think about what you would say in your own language, and look for those words. Make sure you have that vocabulary before you get to your test so that you've got the words you need when you start answering the question. So now when you do answer the question, you want to pick up all the points for organization. And so you want an introduction, an overview, 2 main ideas, at least, maybe 3, and a conclusion. So let's get into this template. We're going to advise a relative about preparing for her first international trip. And a basic template that you can use is, "Hi Mike, I hear you're thinking about going on a trip, trying to go on a trip, considering going on a trip, or preparing to go on a trip." And a little bit of background. As you know, I have a lot of experience traveling internationally, so I thought I'd give you a call and offer some suggestions. And that would be your introduction. Now you need something of an overview. There are a couple of things that I really like to do before I go on an international trip, because they make things so much easier once you've left home. Okay, so you're kind of giving that overview. This is what I'm going to be telling you about, and this is why. And then you want to have your main ideas. And we're going to look at 3 ways of doing your main ideas. This first way is using a subjunctive for each main idea. The second will be using modals, and then the third way would be using 1 modal and 1 subjunctive. If you're unsure about the subjunctive, take a look at the video, my video about the subjunctive. I'll put the link in the comments box below. So if you're using the subjunctive, your first main idea would be, firstly, I recommend that you get some traveler's checks because you never know what the banking system's like in different countries or how easy it will to get cash, but you can always use a traveler's check. So you always want to have that because, and the reason for that is that it gives your answer some depth. It allows you to expand with some details, and examiners love details. Secondly, I suggest that you pack an extra bathing suit because hotels always have such lovely pools and there's really nothing worse than pulling on a wet bathing suit. And then you can go into your conclusion. Now, if you want to do it with modals, you would go, firstly, you should get some traveler's checks because you never know what the banking system's like. Okay, and then in your second idea, secondly, you could take an extra bathing suit or pack an extra bathing suit because hotels always have such lovely pools and there's nothing worse than pulling on a wet bathing suit. Or you could do one of each. So you could have the subjunctive in one idea. Firstly, I suggest that you take some traveler's checks because blah, blah, blah. And then your second idea would be a modal. Secondly, you should pack an extra bathing suit because blah, blah, blah. So once you've done that, you've got your main ideas, either with two subjunctives or two modals or one of each. Then you can go on to your conclusion. So there you go. Those are my suggestions for preparing for your first international trip based on my experience. Okay, there you go. So 3 things to remember. First of all, advice is an uncountable noun. It cannot have an S. If you want more than one piece of advice, you want pieces of advice. Secondly, be prepared to give advice about a range of everyday topics. Practice in your own language, look up the vocabulary and learn it before you go to the exam. And thirdly, use a clear structure with a beginning, a middle and an end. And for the advice question, using a subjunctive and a modal is a really good idea, especially if you're looking for those higher points. The structure would be your introduction, your overview, 2 main ideas, and a conclusion. If you're about to take your test, best of luck. If you'd like some help, call or text me at 613-614-6460. And if you'd like to reach me through my website, www.ottawa-english.com. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.